I always knew Ethan loved me. It wasn't something he hid or tried to play cool about. It was there in every text that lit up my phone at 2 a.m. when I couldn't sleep, and every laugh we shared over inside jokes no one else understood, and every single time he dropped everything to be there for me. We'd been best friends since high school. 7 years of late night drives, terrible movie marathons, and him being my constant. Maya, you free tonight? His text popped up on my screen. Always for you. I typed back, smiling. That was our thing. He was always there, and I never had to question it. Ethan was my rock, my safe place, the person who made me feel special without me having to try. He listened to me complain about bad dates, brought me coffee when I had early shifts, and never once made me feel like I owed him anything. But I never thought of him that way. At least that's what I told myself every time Jess, my roommate, gave me that look. You're using him, she said one night, sprawled on our couch with a glass of wine. I'm not using him. We're friends. Friends don't look at each other the way he looks at you, Maya. She raised an eyebrow. And you know it. I did know it. Of course I knew it, but admitting it meant I'd have to do something about it, and I wasn't ready for that. Ethan was comfortable. He was safe. And honestly, I liked having someone who thought I was perfect, who never criticized me, who was just there. He's my best friend, Jess. That's all. She shook her head. One day, you're going to regret taking him for granted. I laughed it off. I wish I hadn't. It happened on a random Friday night. We were at Ethan's apartment, sitting on his couch with a bowl of popcorn between us, watching some terrible rom-com he'd picked because he knew I loved them. The lights were dim, and I could feel the shift in the air, that heavy, electric feeling you get when something's about to change. Ethan turned to me, and his eyes were different. Serious, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen before. Maya, he said quietly, I need to tell you something. My heart started pounding. I knew what was coming, and every cell in my body screamed at me to stop him, to protect what we had, to keep things exactly the way they were. Ethan, no. Let me say this. He took a deep breath. I've been in love with you for years. I've tried to ignore it, tried to just be your friend, but I can't anymore. I can't keep pretending that being around you doesn't kill me when you talk about other guys. I can't. He leaned in. For a split second, I froze, not because I didn't feel anything. Not because the idea repulsed me, but because I was scared. Scared of what would happen if we crossed that line. Scared of losing the version of Ethan who would always be there, no matter what. Scared of what it meant if I let myself feel what I'd been pushing down for years. So I pulled back. Ethan, don't. My voice came out as a whisper. Let's not risk what we have. Our friendship means too much to me. The words felt hollow even as I said them. His face fell. For just a second, I saw the hurt flash across his eyes before he quickly masked it with that familiar, easy smile that didn't reach his eyes anymore. Yeah, he said, leaning back and grabbing the remote. You're right. Forget I said anything. But we both knew he couldn't forget. And neither could I. We sat there in awkward silence, the rom-com playing in the background, but neither of us was watching anymore. I felt a strange emptiness settling in my chest, like I'd just lost something I didn't know I had. I should go, I finally said, standing up. Maya, you don't have to. No, I'm tired. Early shift tomorrow. It was a lie, and we both knew it. He walked me to the door, and when I looked back at him, I saw something in his expression I'd never seen before. It looked like resignation. Like he'd finally accepted something he'd been fighting against for years. Good night, Ethan. Good night, Maya. I walked to my car with tears I couldn't explain burning behind my eyes. After that night, everything changed. Ethan didn't text me the next morning. No good morning. With a stupid meme attached. No, how'd you sleep? Message that used to make me smile before I even got out of bed. I told myself it was fine. He just needed space. We'd go back to normal. Eventually. But days turned into weeks, and the texts became fewer and further between. Our late-night phone calls that used to last for hours became rare, then non-existent. When we did talk, he was polite, friendly, even, but the warmth was gone. That special thing we had, that connection I'd taken for granted, had vanished, and I felt it. I missed his good morning text, missed the way he'd always ask about my day, actually caring about the answer. I missed feeling like I mattered to someone. Still haven't heard from him. Jess asked one night, finding me staring at my phone. He texted back, "He's just busy." Maya, she sat down next to me. "You can't have it both ways. You rejected him. What did you expect?" I expected my best friend to still be my best friend. But he was never just your friend. You knew that. You've always known that. Her voice softened. You wanted him to keep giving you all that attention, all that love without having to give anything back. That's not fair. I didn't want to ruin our friendship. You already did. Her words stung because they were true. I started dating Derek a few weeks later. I met him at a coffee shop, and he was charming in that careless way that should have been a red flag. He texted when he felt like it, canceled plans last minute, and never asked how my day was. "Sorry, babe, can't make it tonight. Something came up." It was the third time that week. I stared at the text, feeling a sick sense of irony wash over me. This was exactly how I treated Ethan, casual interest without real commitment. And it felt awful. "Derek canceled again?" Jess asked, seeing my face. "Yeah." You know what's funny? You're finally getting a taste of your own medicine. I threw a pillow at her, but she wasn't wrong. I thought about texting Ethan, telling him about Derek, complaining the way I used to. But when I opened our conversation, I saw the gaps between messages, the one-word replies. And I realized I'd lost that privilege. I'd lost him. 3 months later, I heard it through mutual friends. Ethan was seeing someone. At first, I didn't believe it. Ethan? My Ethan? Dating someone who wasn't me? It felt impossible, like a betrayal, even though I had absolutely no right to feel that way. But then I saw it. Instagram. A photo tagged on his feed. Some girl named Claire smiling up at him in a cozy coffee shop, his arm around her shoulders. She was pretty, like really pretty. Long brown hair, bright smile, the kind of girl who probably had her life together. My stomach dropped. I stared at that photo for way too long, zooming in on every detail. The way she looked at him, the way he looked at her. That soft, genuine smile I'd seen 1,000 times, but never quite like that. Never with that kind of peace. I'd never seen him look at me like that. Who is she? I demanded, barging into Jess's room. Who? This Claire girl Ethan's dating. Jess looked up from her laptop, eyebrows raised. And why do you care? I thought you just wanted to be friends. I don't care. I'm just curious. Sure you are. She went back to typing. Her name's Claire Martinez. She works at the art gallery downtown. They met at some charity event 2 months ago. From what I heard, she's actually really nice. That made it worse somehow. I spent the rest of the night scrolling through Claire's Instagram, comparing myself to her. She had her master's degree. She traveled. She posted pictures of paintings and books and thoughtful captions about life and love. She seemed mature, put together, everything I wasn't. I grabbed my phone and texted Ethan. Hey, stranger, want to grab coffee this week? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Can't this week? Pretty busy? Maybe another time? My chest tightened? No problem. Miss you too. But the words felt empty, like a formality, like something you say to an old acquaintance, not your person. I stared at my phone screen until it went black, my own reflection staring back at me. When did I become the one waiting by the phone? I couldn't stop thinking about him. Every couple I saw holding hands reminded me of Ethan. Every time a guy disappointed me, which was often, I thought of Ethan. Every time I had good news or bad news or just needed someone to talk to, my fingers hovered over his name in my contacts before I remembered. He wasn't mine to call anymore. I started replaying our years of friendship in my head like a movie. All the times he'd driven an hour just to bring me soup when I was sick. The time he helped me move apartments and spent the entire weekend building furniture. The way he remembered my coffee order, my favorite songs, the exact way I liked my scrambled eggs. All the love he'd given me that I'd just taken, like it was owed to me. Like it would always be there, and I finally admitted the truth to myself. I had feelings for him. Maybe I always had. I was just too scared, too selfish, too stupid to see it. But now it was too late. He'd moved on, and I was the one left behind. Jess, I sobbed one night. I think I'm in love with Ethan. She looked at me from the kitchen, wine glass in hand, and sighed. I know, you know? Maya, everyone knew. Except you. She came and sat next to me. Or maybe you did know. You just didn't want to deal with it. What do? What can you do? He's with Claire now. But what if I tell him? What if he still loves you? She gave me a sad smile. Maybe he does. But is it fair to ask him to drop everything for you now after you rejected him? After he finally found someone who chose him from the start? Her words felt like a punch to the gut. I have to try, I whispered. I have to tell him. Then tell him. But Maya, she squeezed my hand. Prepare yourself for him to say no. Prepare yourself for the possibility that you're too late. I texted him that night. Can we meet? I need to talk to you about something important. This time, he replied right away. Sure, when? Tomorrow, our spot? Okay. I couldn't sleep that night. I rehearsed what I'd say 100 times, imagining every possible outcome. Maybe he'd say he still loved me. Maybe he'd choose me. Maybe we'd get our chance after all. Maybe I wasn't too late. I asked Ethan to meet me at our old spot, a park bench near campus where we used to hang out in college, talking about our dreams and futures like we had all the time in the world. My hand shook the entire walk there. When I saw him sitting on that bench, my heart broke a little more. He looked good. Really good. His hair was different, styled instead of messy. He'd grown a bit of beard. He looked confident, at peace, like someone who'd finally figured himself out. Nothing like the hurt puppy dog look he'd had the night I rejected him. Hey, he said, standing up and giving me a small smile. Hey, my voice cracked. We sat down, and for a moment, neither of us spoke. I could hear birds chirping, kids playing in the distance, life happening around us while mine felt like it was ending. So, he said gently, what did you want to talk about? I took a deep breath. This was it. Ethan, I need to tell you something. I made a mistake. That night, when you tried to kiss me, when you told me how you felt, I was scared. I was so scared of losing you, of ruining what we had, that I pushed you away. But the truth is, my voice broke. The truth is, I have feelings for you. I think I always have. I just didn't realize it until… Maya, stop. His voice was kind but firm. No, please, let me finish, Maya. He put his hand on mine, and the gesture felt more like goodbye than comfort. I appreciate you saying this. I really do, but I'm with Claire now, and I'm happy. But I spent years hoping you'd feel the same way. His eyes met mine, and I saw something in them I'd never seen before. Resolution. I waited for a sign, anything that would tell me you saw me as more than just your backup plan. But you didn't. And I can't put my life on hold anymore. Tears burned behind my eyes. So that's it? We just end? We're not ending. He squeezed my hand gently before letting go. But we can't go back to what we were. I've moved on, Maya. You should too? Toot if I can't. The tears spilled over. What if you're it for me? His expression softened, and for a second, I thought I saw the old Ethan, the one who would do anything for me. But then he shook his head. He was really walking away. Ethan, I hope you find what you're looking for, Maya. I really do. He gave me one last sad smile. Take care of yourself. And then he walked away. I sat there on that bench, watching him disappear, and I finally understood what I'd done. I hadn't just rejected a kiss. I'd rejected the best thing that ever happened to me. And now I had to live with that. Over the next year, I watched Ethan's life unfold from a distance. He proposed to Claire on a beach at sunset. I saw the photos on Instagram, the ring, the tears of joy, the way she jumped into his arms. Comments flooded in. So happy for you guys. You're perfect together. When's the wedding? I couldn't bring myself to comment. I just liked the post and closed the app. They bought a house together, a cute little place with a garden and a white picket fence, like something out of a magazine. They got a golden retriever named Milo. They posted photos of Sunday morning, pancakes and hiking trips, and all the little domestic moments I'd never thought Ethan wanted, but clearly did. They looked like the kind of couple you see in movies. And I was still stuck, scrolling through dating apps at 2 a.m., going on dates with guys who didn't call back, wondering what my life would have looked like if I'd just said yes that night. You need to let him go, Jess said one evening, finding me cyber-stalking Claire's Instagram again. I know. Do you? Because you're torturing yourself. How do you let go of someone who was your entire world? She didn't have an answer for that. I started seeing Dr. Patel, a therapist my mom recommended. She was patient and kind, with a calm voice that made me feel safe enough to cry during our sessions. Tell me about Ethan, she said during our third session. He was my best friend. And I think I loved him. I just didn't realize it until he was gone. Why do you think that is? Because I'm an idiot? Because you were afraid? She corrected gently. Fear of vulnerability is very common. But Maya, love requires risk. It requires choosing someone even when it's scary. I know that now. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge moving forward? I didn't have an answer yet. My mom called that week. We had lunch at her favorite cafe, and somewhere between the salads and coffee, I told her everything. Oh, sweetheart, she said, reaching across the table to hold my hand. I know that pain. You do? There was a man before your father? David. He loved me completely, and I kept him at arm's length because I thought I could do better. She smiled sadly. I was wrong. By the time I realized it, he'd married someone else. Sometimes I still wonder what my life would have been like if I'd been brave enough to love him back. That's not making me feel better, Mom. I'm not trying to make you feel better. I'm telling you that regret is a terrible thing to carry. Learn from this. Don't make my mistakes again. The invitation arrived on a Tuesday. Thick, cream-colored cardstock with elegant gold lettering. Ethan and Claire, together with their families, invite you to celebrate their wedding. My hands trembled as I read the date, the venue, the little note at the bottom in Ethan's handwriting. Hope you can make it. He was really getting married, and he'd invited me. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You're not seriously considering going, Jess said, seeing the invitation on our kitchen counter. I have to. Why? Why torture yourself? Because I need closure. I traced the gold lettering with my finger. I need to see him happy. I need to accept that this chapter of my life is over. Or you need to punish yourself. Maybe that too, she sighed. If you're going, I'm coming with you. You don't have to. Yes, I do. Someone needs to make sure you don't do something stupid. Like object during the ceremony. I managed a weak laugh. I won't. I RSVP'd yes that night, bought a dress I couldn't afford, and prepared myself to watch the man I loved marry someone else. Marcus called me a few days later. Maya, I heard you're going to the wedding. Are you insane? Probably. You don't have to do this to yourself. I know, but I need to. Well, Lily and I will be there. At least you'll have friends. Thanks, Marcus. Just don't do anything crazy, okay? Define crazy. Maya, I'll behave. I promise. I hung up and stared at the dress hanging on my closet door. Dark blue, elegant, appropriate for a wedding where your heart would be breaking into a million pieces. You can do this, I whispered to myself, but I wasn't sure I believed it. The wedding was beautiful. Of course it was. Everything about it was perfect. The flower arrangements, the string quartet, the sunset lighting that made everything look like a dream. Claire looked stunning in her white dress, like a princess from a fairy tale. And Ethan looked at her the way I'd always secretly wanted him to look at me. I sat in the back row, Jess on one side and Lily on the other, trying to hold myself together as the ceremony began. Dearly beloved, the officiant began, and my heart started racing. I watched Ethan standing at the altar looking so happy, so sure. This was really happening. When they said their vows, I felt every word like a knife. Claire, Ethan said, his voice steady and clear. I promise to love you, to choose you every single day, to be your partner in everything, to build a life with you that's full of laughter and adventure and all the little moments that make life beautiful. I promise to never take you for granted. That last line broke me. I bit my lip, trying not to cry, but tears slipped down my cheeks anyway. So, he would have said those words to me. He would have loved me like that. Chosen me every day. Built a life with me, but I didn't let him. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. Everyone cheered as they kissed, and I felt like I was watching my future disappear into someone else's arms. After the ceremony, I tried to slip away unnoticed, but Ethan found me by the garden. Maya, his voice was soft. Thanks for coming. It means a lot. I turned, forcing a smile even though my face felt frozen. You look happy. I am, he paused. Are you okay? Are you okay? Of course. The lie tasted bitter. Why wouldn't I be? Because I know this is hard for you. For a second, we just looked at each other, and I saw everything we'd been, everything we could have been, hanging in the space between us. I'm happy for you, Ethan. I really am. Weirdly, part of me meant it. She's lucky. I'm the lucky one. He smiled. I hope you find this someday, Maya. You deserve it. Yeah, maybe. Claire appeared then, radiant and kind, linking her arm through Ethan's. Hi, Maya. I'm so glad you could make it. Congratulations, I managed. You both look perfect together. She seemed genuinely warm, making it impossible to hate her. They walked back toward the reception, and I stood there watching them go, feeling the finality of it settle into my bones. This was goodbye. I left before the reception started, unable to watch them dance, unable to see their happiness up close. Jess drove me home while I cried in the passenger seat, mourning something I'd never actually had but had always believed would be there waiting. Months after the wedding, I finally started to heal. It wasn't a dramatic moment or a sudden epiphany. It was gradual, like learning to breathe again after holding your breath for too long. Dr. Patel helped. You're not mourning Ethan, she said during one session. You're mourning who you could have been if you'd been braver. She was right. I threw myself into therapy, into work, into hobbies I'd neglected. I started painting again, something I'd loved in college but had abandoned. I joined a book club. I adopted a cat named Luna, who was terrible and perfect. Some days I still thought about him. Wondered what our life could have been. Imagined different versions where I'd said yes, where we'd built something beautiful together. But I also started to understand something important. Love isn't something you can put on hold. You can't expect someone to wait forever while you figure out what you want. While you keep your options open, while you decide if they're good enough, Ethan deserved someone who chose him from the start. And I wasn't that person. Not then. One random Tuesday, I saw a post on Instagram. Ethan and Claire, her hand on her belly, both grinning at the camera. The caption, "Our greatest adventure begins soon. Baby Martinez coming December 2024. My first instinct was to cry. But instead, I found myself smiling. I commented, "Congratulations, so happy for you both." "Red," he replied. "Thank you, Maya." And that was that. Clean. Simple. Closure. Max, my coworker, asked me out that week. He was nice, funny, thoughtful, nothing like Ethan but good in his own way. So, Jess asked when I told her, "Are you going to say yes?" "I think so." Good. It's about time you gave someone else a chance. On our first date, Max asked me about my last relationship. "It's complicated," I said. "Isn't it always?" I laughed. He wasn't Ethan, he'd never be Ethan. But maybe that was okay. Maybe I needed to learn to love someone different, someone who wasn't tangled up in 7 years of history and regret. Maybe I'd learned my lesson. Maybe the next time someone loved me, I wouldn't be too scared to love them back. Or maybe I'd spend the rest of my life regretting the one who got away. And it's not crazy. Either way, I know one thing for sure. I told him not to risk our friendship, and in doing so, I lost him completely. Some mistakes you don't get to fix. Some chances don't come twice. And some people only wait so long before they realize they deserve someone who chooses them without hesitation. Ethan was my person, and I let him go. Now I have to live with that. But I'm learning, slowly, painfully. That's all I can do. Learn to let go. Learn to forgive myself. Learn that love, real love, requires courage I didn't have then, but might have now. The story doesn't end with us together. It doesn't end with a grand romantic gesture or a second chance. It ends with me, alone, finally understanding what I had, even if it breaks my heart. The end.